Hello, and welcome to the Latah Valley Fiber Co podcast. My name is Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. As many of you know, I'm doing a Christmas Advent for my husband, sock Advent, for this year. So I have an update on that for you, as well as some works in progress. So let's get started. First of all, you can find me on Instagram at Latah Valley Fiber Co. You can follow my shop on Etsy at latahvalleyfiberco.etsy.com. And if you want to direct message me, you can do that through email, lvfiberco@gmail.com. First of all, let's start off with what I'm wearing. This is the Jenny cardigan. I knit this past winter and into the spring. It is out of my own hand-dyed yarn, and I love it. It's cozy, squishy. I love the texture. I wore it out for the first time today because it was 40 degrees. And I was quite warm, actually. So I think this shawl collar really helps to get up behind your neck and keep you warm that way. So I'm glad I did this cardigan. I feel like it will be a staple in my wardrobe this year. So I have a correction to make. I posted in the last two vlogs about a dishcloth that I was knitting up, and I referenced the wrong yarn, so I wanted to correct that. I am doing the Gramma's dishcloth, which is by PJ Allen, and it's this one specifically, the red. I had thought this was Sugar and Cream from Joann's, and it's not. I was on Knit Picks. I was looking because I needed to buy more yarn for my blanket, and I happened to see this exact color, and it's their Dishy. So it's Knit Picks Dishy, and yeah, they have lots of this. So if you like the red and white, there you go. Okay, so that's a correction. Since that was a dishcloth, let's talk about one finished object that I have, and that is another dishcloth. And this one, I used the cookies and cream, or sugars and cream. Good grief. Sugar and cream, and I used two different colors. So this is Jute, and then this is Sonoma. And I had done several in the Sonoma colorway, and I ran out, or I was getting low, so I just decided to do half and half. So that worked out pretty good. So let's see, I used 4mm needles, and I did DPNs. So half is Jute, half is Sonoma. I started this on 10/9 and I finished it on 10/11. And that was number 6 for the year so far, which I actually started doing it because a friend at church wanted to update her. I had done a couple, maybe 4 of them a couple years ago for her, and she wanted some fresh ones. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm knitting up several, and then she can pick from. Okay, let's talk about my finished objects, socks. I have 2 pairs. So this first pair is, let's see here. Oh yes, okay. I started these on 9/24 and I finished them on 10/4. These are knit out of my own hand-dyed yarn in the colorway Cover Me in Sunset. And the pattern I used for these are called the Honeycomb and Moss Socks by Summerly Design. It's in her book. So the book that she put out might have been the tail end of last year or the first part of this year. It's in there. I used 2.25 millimeter needles. I used magic loop, 2 at a time, and I cast on 72 stitches each. So there you go. Aren't those amazing? Now, this colorway I really like. What I don't like is how it pooled. So it pooled in through here, but I feel like so this is 72 stitches. I feel like if I was maybe 56 or, let's see, what's the other one? 56 or 62 or 8. It might have striped, because if you see in the toe here, it definitely did more striping instead of pooling. So my husband's not going to care. I really like the pattern. It's the moss stitch is in the center on the top of your foot, and then on both sides it has this really fun faux cable, and that's the first time I've done a faux cable. It was really easy to do, and I like the look. So the heel is a slip stitch heel flap, and then the gusset into here. And I did, oh, you know what, the cuff is different. The cuff was a leftover from Malabrigo Ultimate Sock. I don't remember the colorway. That used to be my favorite sock yarn before I started hand dyeing my own. So I still have a little bit of that in my stash. Anyway, I do like how the dark black, it's really a gray, but it looks black on here. How it has different pops of that throughout. So that was a fun dyeing technique for sure. So those are it for that one. Yep. Oh, this is number 23 of 24. So yes, I'm almost there. These are all, both of these are blocked, which is nice. It helps bring out the pattern. This is a shorty pair of socks, so it'll be interesting to see if my husband likes that. He used to wear work boots a lot, but now he works more in the office, so he has just regular steel-toed tennis shoes. So I thought maybe these would, the shorter leg would work a little bit better for him. We'll see if he has some good things to say about that or not. Yeah. Okay, so this next pair is actually 22 of 24. I had cast on this first with the cuff, and I had this orange, okay, don't look. I had this orange that I really wanted to use because orange is my favorite color. And so I cast on both cuffs on DPNs, and then I couldn't find anything in my stash that would work with it. So I hemmed and hawed, and finally I just threw up my hands and then cast this on and did this. I didn't think this pink and gray would go with the orange. So so this one I finished actually after this pair. So I cast these on 9/27 and I finished them 10/9. So there you go. I ended up doing the Colorwork Cuff Club from Summerlee Designs for October. I did her ghost one. She came out with two. One was a ghost and one was an apples. So I decided my husband would probably like the ghost better. And I used scraps. So let's see. This yarn is hand dyed by me. I had done a group of 4 20-gram minis. I was experimenting with acid dyes, and so I dyed up that just experimenting with how it pools. And this one actually striped amazingly on both sides. It's beautiful. So I think I'm going to do this technique if I want to do striping for socks. But anyway, so this is not for sale in my shop. It was just an experiment. This and the toe and the heel, I had dyed, I again practiced dyeing. So it's mostly white with some speckling in and out through there. So again, I did the ghost motif from October, the Colorwork Cuff Club. I did DPNs 2.25 millimeter and I cast on 72 stitches. I did not, a lot of times Summer will say to go up a needle size when you're doing the color work and then go back down. I didn't do that. I just made sure that my stitches were not bunched on my needles. I would spread them out throughout the color work. This is 22 of 24. So I do have 2 more skeins of this, so I will likely cast on maybe some socks for my mom. Yeah. Okay, that's it for finished objects. Let's move on to works in progress. Okay, so in the same realm of socks, I have cast on number 24 of 24. So these are also in Summer Lee's book. They are the color block, ribbed color block pattern. The yarn, okay, so there is a story behind this yarn. We have a new yarn shop that opened in our area. It's called Applewood Yarn Barn. It's in Green Bluff, near where we live. And I wanted to go check them out. Mostly because I got online and they don't have all their yarn posted, but they do have their suppliers. And they're different from the other yarn shops that are in town. Hook and Needle Nook and Paradise Fiber. So I wanted to check them out and support them because they're local. So the yarn that I bought there, I actually bought 2 skeins. This one for sure was for my husband. They're both by the same dyer, and it's Polka Dot Sheep. And my husband's socks are called Whiskey Spring. And this is what her label looks like. She is out of Whitefish, Montana. And she's on Instagram, at Polka Dot Sheep. This is her Tenderfoot 80/20. And that is what I use as my base. So it's very soft and plush. Yeah. Oh, right there. Tenderfoot 80/20. Okay, so I'm not doing the color block. I'm just doing the ribbing pattern, which is a 3x1. So I cast on again 72 stitches on DPNs. So far I've only got 1 started and going. Yeah, 2.25. So I love this color. It's beautiful. It's got some variants in there with some lighter and darker. So it basically looks like you just keep going with the ribbing, but there's a slight difference. This is 2x1 for 2 inches, and then I'm doing about 4 inches on the leg before I start the heel. Now I am there. I'm ready to do the heel flap and gusset. But I think I might cast on the other one and get it to this point before I do the heel. So I wish you could feel this. It is so squishy. Well, plus ribbing helps it to be squishier. So yeah, I started these 10/11, and it's the, is it the 17th? Yep, it's the 17th. So they're moving along, not super fast. It's my last pair. I thought about doing a more exciting a more exciting color work or something like that, but to be honest, this is number 24 and I've been knitting mainly socks, so I'm kind of over it. So I thought something easy, so a ribbed pattern. Okay, my next work in progress is a pair of mittens for my son. He, a couple years ago, I had knit him some mittens using the World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits, and he's grown so much this last year that he needs a new pair. So I had him go through my yarn, and he picked some scraps that I had, so that works fine. The yarn I'm using is City Tweed by Knit Picks. I actually used it in my temperature blanket, and it's a scrap. I'm not going to need it for the rest of the year, so there was plenty left to do his mitts in. So this is the main color. It's Jaquard, and then I'm also using the yellow. It's the same City Tweed. Yellow is the lemon curd, and both of these are on Knit Picks website, so you can buy it there. The needles, I followed the pattern, and what's great about the Tin Can Knits pattern is it has the recipe for whatever size yarn you're using. Fingering, DK, this is worsted. They even have an Aran weight one, or bulky. Aran or bulky, can't remember. This is worsted. So I cast on using 3.75s DPN for the cuff. Then I switched to 4.5 for the thumb and the hand. I did this on DPNs because it's small circumference. I cast on 40 stitches. It's a 1x1 rib, which is fun. It's squishy. And then for my son, I did the size large. And since he was here, I just measured him. I had him put it on, and surprisingly, his hands are a little bit bigger than mine, but there you go. So he's got a little bit of room, plus it stretches a little bit. So yeah. And I have cast on the second, and I'm to the point where, oh, I've switched needles, I think. Yeah, 4.5. So I've put, I've done the cuff. Now it's just knitting and increasing for the thumb. So that's pretty simple. Now, I did want to address changing yarn color in rib. And typically when you're adding in new color, you just add it in and you start knitting. But with rib, the purl shows a funny, well, the color is coming through on the other side, from the other side. So on the purl stitch, you will see, in the yellow, you would see blue. And it just looks untidy. So there are ways to get around that. And one of the ways that is recommended is when you're adding in the new color in ribbing, you knit the whole thing around the first row. And then you, once you've hit the beginning around and you're starting again, then you would do the pattern. In this case, 1x1. So I knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. And I did this the top one here is 3 rounds. So I knit the first round with the new color, and then I followed the pattern for the following 2. Now, when I brought back in the blue, I knit the first round and then followed the pattern, the second round. Knit, purl, knit, purl. There's only 2 rounds. Then I brought in the yellow again, so I knit the first round and then I followed the pattern, knit, purl, the second round, and then I brought in the blue again for the last time, so I knit the first round and then followed the pattern, knit, purl, until I got to the end. So that prevents that interesting little color pop on your purl stitches for all those different changes. So if you look at it, it's pretty tidy. It's a nice straight line, and that is what I like. So yes, there you go. Those are my works in progress. Oh, I started the mittens on 10/15. So I should be done. They knit up really quickly. I did this one in 2 days, and I was working on socks and my temperature blanket as well. So there you go. Okay, so this is my monthly update on my temperature blanket. I started this January 17th. The yarn I'm using is Woodland Tweed by Knit Picks, and also City Tweed for 2 of the colors. I used a pattern by Handy Little Me. It's the temperature blanket, one of the ones that she had. The needle size I did is 4.5 millimeter. I cast on 240 stitches. And this is for the year 2013, which is the year I got married and we adopted our son. So I am into September. I'm a bit behind. So I debated whether or not to show you or not, but you know, this is reality. This is real life. And it's huge. Okay, well, and it's all tangly. I usually do this, but I've got yarn coming out. Okay. There we go. So the date I'm to is 9/18, September 18th. So basically I'm a month behind. I think I'm getting tired of it. I was talking with my friend Corey, who was also doing one, and it's just, the blanket's really big now. It's taller than we are, and it's fiddly, it's monotonous. I'm at least doing a pattern, which does help kind of keep me engaged because, you know, between, I think it's 15 stitches. So between these 15 stitches, I'm doing a lot of increasing and decreasing. And then these 15 stitches, increasing and decreasing. So that at least is engaging, but I'm just tired of it. It's a very long project. And one of the things I'm thinking of is, I don't know if I'm a knitter that I knit to have the project or I knit because I enjoy knitting. I think to some degree I'm both of those, which is why socks are so nice, because I can whip them up in a week and have a finished project. So I don't know if maybe that's why this is kind of, oh, I'm over it. But yeah, so it is squishy. I'm gonna love it when I get it all done. It's gonna be ginormous. So yeah, anyway, there you go. That's the update on the temperature blanket. So let's see. Oh, here we go. This is my marker from the last time. I've not made it very far. So maybe 6 inches. All right, I'm moving it up. So next time I show you, which will be around November 1st, hopefully I'll be all caught up through September and October. But that's the update. All right, that's the update on the temperature blanket. I will be thrilled when it is done. Okay, I do have one more acquisition along with those socks that I wanted to talk about. And again, it's the same polka dot sheep, fine yarns. This colorway is Beartooth. Again, it's her Tenderfoot 80/20. And I am actually using this to knit a pair of socks for a customer. So she had wanted a brown, and that was the one thing about this Applewood Yarn Barn shop is they only had this gal, so they had 8 dyers. This gal was the only one that had sock yarn, and she had fingering weight and DK, and she only had about 6 different colored skeins of each, fingering weight and DK. So that was a little disappointing. I'm gonna have to go to Paradise to get the other color. So the gal that wants some hand knit socks, she wanted a brown pair and a gray pair. So I'll have to go to Paradise to get the gray. I could dye it, but I need to order the yarn, the bare yarn. So I could do that too. So that would actually probably be smarter for me to do. So, okay, that's it. That's all I have for this week. So I hope you all are being crafty and staying warm with your hand knits, and I'll see you next time. Happy knitting.